Everybody, Kaoiji here. So these are just some tips that I feel like might help you guys out when it comes to Armored Core 6. And hopefully some things here might be things you may not have heard of. But let's just jump into it because I don't like waiting. So I would hope that you guys don't like waiting either. Anyway, moving on. The first tip that we're going to be talking about is the actual kick attack in Armored Core 6. Regardless of what legs you're using, when you go to do this impact dash and you do the kick attack, you will deal a flat amount of impact damage. In addition, you'll deal a flat amount of actual damage to the enemy unit in the game. This is incredibly important when dealing with certain enemies and also dealing with certain builds. For example, if you're rocking the double Zimmermans, getting in close to use a kick attack, you'll be able to do a ton amount of impact damage very quickly that'll stagger most armored cores. Another thing to keep in mind is that every melee weapon for the most part has a different time in which the animation of attack will happen, which is why I prefer using the laser dagger. But if for whatever reason you wanted to be able to use something like the pile bunkers, understanding that even though it deals high amounts of damage, you want to be able to make sure that you're taking advantage of the time in which that happens. Also understanding that every single melee weapon has a different time in which it's able to recharge. Things like the pile bunker dealing a heavy amount of damage has nothing to do with, let's say, like I was talking about before, the laser dagger, which after your initial 3-hit combo, you're able to deal damage again, because look how quickly that recharges. So certain things like that might be able to be make or break depending on the kind of build that you have in Armored Core 6. In addition, there is another stat that deals in the amount of damage you deal with melee, and that'll be the arm stat, which is melee specialization. A lot of these will increase your attack power. So something like the Basha arms, which gives you 158 melee specialization, using these will increase the damage of all of your melee attacks, period. As you can see with the laser daggers in my first hit using the Basha arms, I've dealt a total of 912 damage, but when I'm using the Nachteria arms, I'm dealing 689 damage. Another thing is understanding that the higher your attitude stability, the lower your attitude recovery would be. And the reason for that is because attitude stability is generally the larger that number is, the more likely it is for you to be able to resist stagger, or the less likely it is for you to stagger in the first place. But that also means that your armored core is heavier. So light builds, for the most part, when you're using something like the Nachteria pieces, have an advantage because they will be able to recover that impact gauge or that stagger gauge that much faster compared to other builds, giving you the edge in something like PvP because you'll be able to disengage, get away from the enemy, wait for that to recover, and then come back. Another thing is making sure that you choose the generator that's right for you. And a lot of the reasons for that is because although some of these generators might have good supply recovery, or some of these generators might have good energy recharge, that almost matters not if your energy efficiency isn't good. Additionally, if you're dealing with energy weapons such as plasma and laser weapons, then you want to make sure that you have an energy firearm spec, because these will also reduce the charging time for those weapons and increase the amount of damage of those weapons as well. But a lot of the reasons why I feel like energy recharge and supply recovery are almost not important is because of the supply efficiency stat. The total load of energy in your armored core with lighter assemblies, you'll be able to recover energy more quickly. And this is regardless of whether or not your energy recharge stat is an actual thing. So while we're going to be able to use the energy, all of our energy in depletion, you'll see how quickly it recovers regardless. And this is with the coral generator. Now let's go back to using the main Tang generator that I was using before and deplete the gauge. You'll notice that as I deplete the gauge, it comes back a lot slower. And that's not just because it has a higher energy recharge or supply recovery, it's because of the actual energy supply efficiency that this gives me. So for certain light builds, using something like the coral generator might be even more important to you than something else. Although make sure that is something that you want to do for your build, because sometimes using the generator might impact the boost speed that you have in your build. But that's everything for this video that I wanted to put out there. If you guys have any other tips that you want to share with the community, do me a favor, leave it down in the comment section down below, because there are a lot of things that might be more advanced, or maybe I just got something wrong and you want to correct me. That's perfectly fine as well. But as always, everybody, thank you guys again for watching. Stay awesome, stay beautiful, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. I'm out.